Namo Namaha Bhaktam Sarvesham Hardam Swagatam. Welcome back to the channel Sanskrit Sopanam. I hope you are doing great. I'm also good. And moving on in our series Learning Sanskrit through Gita, today we are decoding 18th shloka from the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And just as we saw in the previous shloka, Krishna, he told about the indestructible, imperishable nature of the Sat, of the real part of this entire thing. What is the real part? So the self, the Brahm. Because he says, Yena sarvamidam tatam avinashi, that by which this entire thing is pervaded. So obviously he's talking about the self, that one supreme reality. So he says that is avinashi, that is indestructible. So compared to that, in this particular shloka, he will talk about the asat, the unreal part of it, the destructible part of it. So what is it? Without wasting any more time, let's quickly find out by decoding the shloka. So this is our 18th shloka. Let me go through the shloka once. Antavanta ime deha nityasyoktah sharirinaha anashino prameyasya tasmadyudhyasva bharata. Okay, so this is our shloka, and this of course is the Sandhi Vichcheda version of the shloka. So right off the bat you can see this is the Lopa Sandhi, the Visarga. It is getting Lopa, it is getting disappeared. So Lopa Sandhi is happening here. Then again the Visarga Lopa Sandhi is happening here also. Then you see it is a Guna Sandhi, Nityasyoktaha. So it is a Guna Sandhi that is happening here. Then if you'll come here, so it is a Ukara Sandhi. And lastly, we have a Jashtva Sandhi that is happening here. Tasmat Yudhyasva, it is Tasmat Yudhyasva. So all the Sandhi details again is in the PDF file. Do download that PDF file from the link in the description box. And again, all these multiple Sandhis that we keep seeing. So again, all the Sandhis are just repeating now. So I hope by this time you are all aware of all the essential important Sandhis that are very frequent in all the Sanskrit text. So I hope you are practicing those Sandhis and everything. If not, do download that PDF file and go through it. I'll just move on with the decoding of the shloka. Okay, and now we will start decoding the shloka with this word uktaha. So this uktaha, even though it is not a verb form, it is not a kriya pada with which we generally start, but it is a kridanta. And we know that kridanta, these verb-based adjectives, so even though they are mostly adjectives only, but they do act like the verb also for their concerned noun. So if we don't have a verb form, so we find a kridanta and we start with that. So uktaha, it generally translates as there are certain things that are said, that are spoken. So just as we say no in a general sense that so and so are the things that are told by our elders. So and so are the things that are said, that are told by someone. So in that general sense only. So okay, that is the meaning here. This uktaha, this is of course coming from the vach dhatu. Vach dhatu again means the same thing, to speak, to say, to tell in all those meanings. And since this is the kridanta, so we know that this dhatu here is being modified using some krit suffix. The suffix here is ta suffix. So this vach dhatu, when it is modified using ta suffix, so it creates a pratipadika, that is this ukta. And this ukta, this is a past participle. So it will signify anything that is said. Okay, again here it is uktaha. So of course it is in a plural form. That is why I am writing that there are certain things that are said. Okay, that is a meaning. So of course a follow-up question now will be ke uktaha, that what are the things that are said? And in the response we get ime deha. So ime deha, this translates as these bodies. So these bodies are so and so. This is said. So as we'll decode the shloka further, this entire picture will clear. But let us see these two words, ime and dehaha. Deha, this is the pratipadika from which this is coming, of course. Deha, this simply means body. Okay, body as in the physical body, the gross body. Okay, deha, it is an masculine gender. It is a pullinga pratipadika. And since of course I'm talking about all these bodies, so of course plural, right? So in first word case, in prathama vibhakti plural, this deha pratipadika, this becomes dehaha. Okay, bodies. And idam. So idam, this of course we know, this is a pronoun that conveys this. Okay. So since we are using this idam, this pronoun with this namapada, so this pronoun will also take all these three properties, that is the pullinga form, the first case form and the plural form. So idam, this will change in ime. Ime again conveying the meaning these. So ime dehaha, these bodies are, whatever we will discuss further, are uktaha, are said. So this is the sense so far. Okay, so I hope these two words are clear. And of course the follow-up question will be kidrishaha. That okay, these bodies are said to be something, right? So what is that? How they are described, these bodies? That kidrishaha ime dehaha uktaha. So the response is antavantaha. and the meaning is perishable. So ime dehaha, these bodies are said to be antavantaha, are said to be perishable. Okay, that is the meaning. In Hindi, in Sanskrit also we use this word no for sharira, nashwar, that this sharira, this body is nashwara. So that is the main thing here, perishable, destructible. Okay, that is the sense here. Let us understand this word antavantaha. And by the way, before I decode this word, so antavantaha, now if you see this word and you already know that this antavantaha, this is an adjective, like this is the visheshana for this dehaha, for this bodies. So now you should ask this question that okay, what should be the pratipadika of this word? Like what pratipadika in the plural form, because antavantaha, this is an adjective for this deha. So we already know that this particular form is also in the plural. This is also in the first word case, prathama vibhakti plural form. So try to think that what pratipadika can become antavantaha. Basically, you just have to recognize the ending, that what pratipadika they have the ending like antaha for the first word case plural form, right? So these questions should pop up in your mind now, because then only we will understand, no, that we are progressing in this language also. So anyways, antavantaha. So we know this is a first person plural form for some pratipadika, and that pratipadika is antavat. Okay, this is the pratipadika, because antaha, if you can recognize this ending, the plural ending antaha, so you will recognize that it is a takaranta shabda. Okay, just as we see, no, bhavat. So bhavat in the first vibhakti, in the prathama vibhakti, it have forms like bhavan, bhavantau, bhavantaha. So there also you see this ending bhavantaha. So that same ending you can see here also, antavantaha. And you can even consider any other word. Suppose buddhiman. So we have seen this word also. So buddhiman, that is the prathama vibhakti singular form. The pratipadika is buddhimat. But here also, if you remember the prathama vibhakti form, so buddhimat, this becomes buddhiman, buddhimantau, buddhimantaha. So there also antaha, this ending. So by taking notice of these things, these endings, these connections, you can try to figure out what should be the pratipadika. So it is a takaranta pratipadika, antavantaha. So it might be coming from antavat, a takaranta pratipadika. And then when you have figured out the pratipadika, then you can also understand the meaning. Because see, antavat. So a lot of you will already see this portion, anta, and you will know, okay, that I know this meaning. This means end. Anta, very common Hindi word also, end. Okay. And then so many times we have seen lot of pratipadiks ending with vat or mat. Just as I gave you example here, buddhi mat. Okay, dhanvat. So for anyone who is rich, so we have this word dhanvat, from which we get dhanvan. So vat, mat, we have seen these suffixes. We have seen the use of these affixes before also. So this way you can start to figure out. You can also start to question that why do we use this vat suffix and this mat suffix? What is the meaning behind it? And once we inquire into this, then we will recognize the answer that okay, we have studied a suffix vatup, vatup suffix, matup suffix, a very similar kind of suffix. So these two suffixes we have seen before surely. And why do we use these suffixes? We use these suffixes to denote the possession of something. So matup and vatup in the sense of possession. Possession in the sense of having. That with whatever pratipadika, with whatever word you will attach these two suffixes, these will denote the having of it, the possession of it. So dhanvat, this will denote any person who possesses dhana. Dhana means money, wealth. So who has the possession of dhana. That is why dhanvan, this translates as a rich person, because he possesses this dhana. Same goes for buddhimat, that if I am describing someone as buddhimat, so buddhimat simply means someone who possesses buddhi, someone who has buddhi, who has intellectual viveka. That is why the form buddhiman that we get from this pratipadika, that means intelligent person. Intelligent person, someone who possesses buddhi. Okay, now coming to our pratipadika in hand, antavat. So with that same logic, antavat will describe something that possesses anta. That possesses anta, or something that have an end. So now if I am describing something or someone as having an end or possessing end, so that of course means that thing or that person is perishable. It is destructible because it possesses an end. It have an end. So the pratipadika antvat simply saying that something is perishable. Okay, and this is the adjective we are using for dehaha. So again, it will take the same prathama vibhakti plural form, antvat becoming antavantaha. Antavan, antavantau, antavantaha. That is what we see in the shloka. Okay, so I hope this entire structure and how we can question ourselves, all these things are clear. Anyways, ime dehaha, these bodies, uktaha, are said to be antavantaha, are said to be perishable. And now the question will be that kasya dehaha, that these bodies are perishable, but these bodies, to whom these bodies belong to, kasya, whose bodies? And the response we get is sharirinaha ime dehaha, these bodies of the embodied soul. Sharirinaha simply means embodied soul. Okay, this sharirinaha. So this again is a very clever use of this word. The main word here is sharira. And sharira, this is very similar to this word that we saw for the body, deha. Right? These two are actually synonyms. Sharira, deha, they both mean body. Okay, and recently we have seen another suffix also, ini suffix. So if you remember, we have seen this suffix couple of times in the previous shlokas. And this ini suffix also is very similar to the suffix matup and the vatup, these two suffix. So basically in function, this vatup pratyaya, this matup pratyaya, this ini pratyaya, all these three, they are conveying essentially the same thing only, that possessing or having. So in these sense, possessing of something, having of something, in these sense, all these three pratyaya, all these three suffixes are doing more or less the same thing. But when we modify this sharira, this pratipadika with this ini pratyaya, so what we get is sharirin, this pratipadika. And this pratipadika will now denote anything, any person as possessing or having sharir, possessing or having a body. And as per the context, try to understand this body is not just limited to this human body. By this body, it basically means some physical form, okay? Some physical or gross form, the sthula sharira, the sthula form. So something that is possessing, something that is having a body, a physical form, that is sharirin. So with this sharirin, we are implying that eternal self which has taken a form. So in the form of this human body, when we are born as a human being, so this human body is also a form. So that is also denoted by that sharirin. But apart from this, the entire manifest universe, if you think about it, the entire manifest universe is that eternal self taking a form. So it need not necessarily be just this human form. You have animals also, we have inanimate objects also, elements also, trees, mountains, rivers. All these things are but some kind of form, right? So the sharirin is kind of referring to the eternal self which has taken any kind of form. That is why we are saying the embodied soul. Okay, we are talking in respect of ourselves only, human, so jivatma, but we have the broader perspective, we have a broader look also for this word sharirin, that the self when it is embodied, when it has manifested. Okay, but that is the word. From sharir, with this ini pratyaya, you get this sharirin, having body, possessing body. And if you have noticed, then for jivatma, we have also used dehin. Same thing. We are using the pratipadika deha instead of sharir, the same pratyaya ini, and the form becomes dehin. Again, meaning the same thing, is something that have a body. And this dehin we have used for jivatma in previous shlokas, I think a lot of times. So same thing is happening here. You can make the connections now. Okay, and this sharirin, this is a neuter gender pratipadika. This is a napunsakling pratipadika. What form is this? What shabdarupa is this? So this is a sixth case, because I want to say these bodies of the embodied soul. So of course of prayojana. So sixth case, that is shashti vibhakti and singular. Singular why? Because again, the bodies, they can be multiple, they can be pluralistic. But the self, that eternal self, that is only one, right? So we don't see the self as something that is plural. Only when it takes different forms, then that singularity becomes plurality, right? So very carefully underlying that also, you see, it is a sixth case, shashti vibhakti, singular form. Okay, sharirin changing into sharirinaha. So I hope this structure is clear. The entire meaning of the sentence also I hope is clear. So these bodies of the embodied soul, they are perishable, thus is uktaha, thus it is said. Okay, so that is being conveyed here. And again, see, these bodies actually in the current context of of that battleground. So in that current context, these bodies, they are actually talking about the human bodies only, all bodies relating to all the soldiers that have gathered in the battlefield, actually, the Pandava side, the Kaurava side. So Krishna is hinting, of course, at that also. But since we know the underlying Vedantic philosophy also, so we can see the connection here, that these bodies of the embodied soul, so when that self manifests in any form, so whatever form it is, the entire manifest world, it is perishable, it is destructible, it have an end. Anything in this universe which is manifested, it has an end. So that is the point they are referring to here. Okay, so comparing to the Avinashi self spoken about in the previous shloka, these bodies, they are antavantaha, they are perishable, they are destructible. So that is a comparison Krishna is showing here. And this sharirinaha, so this embodied soul. So Krishna is also using few different adjectives, visheshan, for this embodied soul. What are those visheshan? Kidrishasya. Because I am inquiring about this embodied soul. So, first of all, Krishna is saying Nityasya. Since all these adjectives, Nityasya, Anashinaha, Aprameyasya, all these adjectives are pointing to this noun, right? Sharirinaha. So, anyways, in the starting only we know that they are in Shashti Vibhakti and singular form because the adjectives have to match the Vibhakti and Vachan of its principal noun. And that is what we see also, Nityasya. The moment we see this form, Nityasya, Balakasya, Ramasya, we already know that, okay, the Pratipadika here is Nitya. Nitya, we have seen so many times, this simply means eternal, right? Something that is always there, something that is constant, that is eternal in that sense. So now let's move on and see what is the second adjective, punaschikidrishasya. The second one is anashinaha and anashinaha. So can you match the form here now? Again, I will decode this word of course, but see, nityasya, it is not following that same ending. So here the Shashti Vibhakti, it have this end, sya, balakasya, ramasya. But for this word anashinaha, so the ending is like this naha, which is similar to the ending of our principal noun sharirinaha. So here also we can see this naha only. So by seeing this form anashinaha, and you know the form is Shashti Vibhakti Ekvachana, some of you should be able to get to the Pratipadika of it. That Anashinaha, Sharirinaha, they both are having a similar kind of form. So the Pratipadika also might be the similar kind of Pratipadika. Sharirinaha, it came from Sharirin, a Nakarant Pratipadika. So Anashinaha, this should also come from a Anashin, a Nakarant Pratipadika, and that is right. Anashin. This is the Pratipadika. And the Shashti Vibhakti, the sixth case singular form of this Pratipadika Anashin is this Anashinaha. Simply you remove the halant and you add the visarga. Okay, what we see in the shloka. And this Anashin, this anyways, I think this same Pratipadika we saw in some of the previous shloka. Very recently we saw this word. Okay, you can already decode the meaning Anashin. So we can clearly see we have this pratyay, this ini pratyay here also. Ini pratyay, right? So possessing or having what? So anashin. So we can clearly see the word here is anash. So anash basically the negation of nash. Nash means destruction. Anash means indestruction. So anashin means something that possesses indestruction. So basically something that is indestructible. Anashin, something that is indestructible, imperishable. Okay, so that is the word Pratipadika here, that is the meaning, and that is the again the form. Nityasya, that is eternal, Anashinaha, that is indestructible. Okay, and now you may ask this question that okay, this Nitya, this eternal, so doesn't eternal actually conveys the same meaning as indestructible? So why we are using this redundant adjective indestructible when we have said something is eternal? Then of course it implies that that is indestructible. But for that we can think of it like this, that something that is eternal is always there, that is okay. But when we say something is indestructible, so we are talking about the complete destruction and the partial destruction, that a thing can get partially destructed also, right? But when we say that it is eternal and it is indestructible, so we are reinforcing this fact that it is it is indestructible in every sense. It is you cannot destroy a part of it, you cannot destroy whole of it, you cannot do any damage to it. So basically it is aware, it is immutable, it does not change, it is changeless. So these two seemingly similar adjectives, they are kind of reinforcing this fact that the self is eternal, the self is indestructible, and it is immutable, it is changeless. It is that changeless reality, that is what is conveyed here. Okay, so that is one way we can see the use of these two, Nityas and Anashinaha. But let us also see the last adjective, and this is Aprameyasya. So Aprameyasya is of course the form, the Pratipadika here is Aprameya. And Aprameya simply means something that is immeasurable. Something that is immeasurable, it also conveys something that is incomprehensible. So Prameya simply means something that is ought to be known, that should be known, something that is knowable. Aprameya is something that is unknowable, something that is incomprehensible, or in this sense here, something that is immeasurable. And again, immeasurable is basically reinforcing this fact that it is infinite. So the self that is eternal, that is indestructible, that self is also infinite. Okay, aprameya. And since it is an adjective of sharirinaha, so again the same, sixth case, shashti vibhakti, singular form, aprameyasya, changing into this, what you see in the shloka. So with this entire sentence now, Krishna is simply saying that ime deha, these bodies that are acquired by the sharirina, these bodies that are acquired by the embodied soul, by the jivatma, which itself is nityasya, which itself is eternal, it is indestructible and it is immeasurable. So these bodies of this embodied soul, they are uktaha, they are said to be antavantaha, they are said to be perishable, destructible, nashwar as we say. So that is the sense so far. But then we raise a question that atkim, that okay, I understand that these bodies, these physical forms, they are all antavantaha, they are all perishable. So what? So Krishna continues and says, Tasmat yudhyasva. Tasmat, that means therefore, yudhyasva, that means you must fight. It is like a command, yudhyasva, you fight. Okay, that by making Arjuna aware of the transient nature of these physical forms and everything, Krishna, he is prompting him to act, he is prompting him to yudhyasva, fight. This particular verb form, this particular kriya pad, let us see it. So yudhyasva, this is coming from yudh dhatu. Yudh dhatu we have seen so many times before also. This dhatu means to fight, to battle, to fight in that sense. The form here is second person, that is Madhyama Purush. Why? Because Krishna is saying this action for Arjuna, is directly telling him, the listener. So the action being attributed to the listener, so second person, singular and imperative mood, that is lot lakar in Sanskrit, because it is like a command. So I hope from yudhyasva, this is clear that tasmat yudhyasva, therefore, O Arjuna, you must fight. And by the way, this use of yudhyasva, that O Arjuna, you must fight, so this is not a call for violence. So we have to understand this, that this line, we have to understand the backdrop of Bhagavad Gita, that the backdrop is Mahabharata war, the Kurukshetra. They are all gathered in Kurukshetra. The war is about to begin. So in that context, this verbal root yudh, to fight, that is the sense here. Yudhyasva, O Arjuna, you must fight. But it is not a call for violence. This is basically a call for someone to perform his dharmic duty. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that you as a Kshatriya warrior, it is your dharma to act. It is your dharma to fight against injustice, against adharmic people. So that is what Krishna is telling Arjuna, that wake up and perform your dharmic duty. It is a call for us also, that in our everyday to day life, whenever we are facing any challenge, it is our dharma to shake up, to wake up and perform our duty as and what is required of us. So because it is our swadharma, it is our swadharma to live a fulfilling life. So that is what we have to do. We should not give in to slumber and everything. We always have to wake up and yudhyasva. We have to fight in that sense. So that is what the call is here. That is Krishna is making to Arjuna and through him to all of us. But anyways, that is the entire shloka. Let us see the Anvaya along with the translation. So Krishna continues, Ime dehaha, these bodies that are acquired by. So that are acquired by basically means these bodies of sharirinaha. So sharirinaha ime deha, these bodies that are acquired by the embodied soul. And how is that embodied soul described by Krishna? So it is nityasya, basically nitya, it is eternal, anashin, it is indestructible, and aprameya, it is immeasurable. So in all, these bodies that are acquired by the eternal, indestructible and immeasurable embodied soul, uktaha, are said to be antavantaha, are said to be perishable. So these bodies, these physical forms, they are all perishable, they are all destructible. And tasmat, therefore, O Arjuna, Bharata, that is descendant of King Bharat, so therefore, O Arjuna, yudhyasva, you must fight. Basically, you must perform your dharmic duties. That is all he's saying. So that was the entire meaning of the shloka. This aprameya. So aprameya we saw, it can be translated as immeasurable. That equates to infinite nature of the self. So that is there. But this aprameya also means incomprehensible, unknowable. But this unknowable or incomprehensible, this does not mean that there is no way we can experience or realize this self. Because if that was the way, then why would they even give all these texts? We cannot make this claim that since Krishna himself is telling that this self, it is aprameya, it is unknowable, it is incomprehensible, then close this book, let us go and enjoy. Because what is the point? So that is not what he means. Because what he means is this self is incomprehensible by the normal methods of perception. So the way we perceive the entire physical world, the outside world, so we perceive them using our five senses, our five sense organs, right? So the self is incomprehensible by these general methods of perception. So it is beyond these, because again, our five sense organs, including our mind and our intellect, all these things, they are but inert by themselves. So they are like those machines that are just lying there. But only when you make those machines live by passing an electric current through them. So only when you make them live, then only those machines can perform whatever work they are supposed to do. That is the same case with our five sense organs and our mind and intellect also, that they by themselves are inert, but only when the consciousness alivens them, only when the consciousness makes them aware, then only they perform those things, whatever they are do. The eyes, they have to see, the ears, they have to listen, all those works. So the aprameya nature of the self is simply implying that the self, the real true self, is incomprehensible by the general, the common methods of perception. Because and that is where the yoga and everything comes, no? That when you train your mind in the art of yoga, then only your sense organs, your mind, intellect, then only they become capable or even perceiving it. And that is why that is why we also say that the spirituality is all about turning inwards. Because as long as we keep perceiving things from in the outside world, then we are only going to see what these inert sense organs and everything they are supposed to show. But when we want to see that consciousness that is making these sense organs capable of doing what they do, so to see that consciousness, to realize that, we of course have to turn inwards. So just to show that difference, they are saying aprame, incomprehensible in the general way of perceiving things. That is the meaning here. But anyways, that was the entire meaning of the shloka. The grammar section that we did, and the questions that I'm in these particular verses, I'm trying for you to prompt these questions to yourself. All these questions and everything are important. Don't wait for me to decode the word. As long as we have arrived at some word, you can pause the video and try to see if you can identify the pratipadika, you can identify the dhatu. Then this way you will exercise your mind also while we decode the shloka, and you have the PDF sheet that you can always refer if you, in case I miss out anything, in case you have any doubt after the video also. That is all. I'll meet you in the next video with another shloka. Until then, stay awesome, stay happy. Vayam punah milamaha. Dhanyavad.